Yeah, definitely. It's beautiful down here, downtown St. Catharines. I've never actually been here before. And people are friendly, and we're not far from where the Ice Dogs play at Meridian Stadium. Meridian Stadium, I think I'm saying that right. But I'll be back home later today. Yeah. Oh, it looks like we're ready to go here, so I gotta go. Love you too. Okay, bye now. Just had to let my wife Jennifer know that everything's okay. I'm down here at Fiddler's Poorhouse, Niagara 411 live with Lee Sterry. Obviously, I am not the handsome Lee, but my name's David Burrows. I'll be filling in today, and I'm happy to be here at Fiddler's Poorhouse. And I'm excited that I was able to be here, thanks to my friends from WeeStreem, Kevin Jack, for allowing me to be here. And we're going to go inside, get things started, and go into Fiddler's Poorhouse. And Mel's already taking good care of me. I've got my full glass of water so I can get through the next hour and a half. And we've already been spending a lot of time figuring out what we're going to talk about here today. We've got an interview coming up about 20 after 12 here today, and some interesting stories happening here as well. So we're going to get close to getting things underway here in just a few moments. But again, hello and welcome to Niagara 411 Live here on the Facebook page of Niagara 411, and we're simulcasting or cross-posting on my show, The Show with David Burrows, in Sarnia. So I think things are just about ready and queued up to go, and we're going to head on over, and I'll see you in a few seconds. All right, well, hello and welcome once again to Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry. And my name is David Burrows, filling in for Lee, as I understand Lee is on vacation in the United Kingdom. So thank you, Lee, and hope I'm sure he's probably watching, checking up on us. Hey, Kevin, I would think he's just making sure we're doing what we're supposed to.
Yeah, I would think so. Here, let's check in on Lee and what exactly he is up to. There's Lee and his beautiful wife Linda, and here's
some of the pics there. And oh wow, well, he's got the famous hat on. I didn't wear a hat today. I thought that's Lee's trademark. And I've always wanted to go and stand by one of those guards, right? And I wonder how many people like stand in front of them and try to make them flinch. Is that something you would do if you were there? I think it was something that I would do. So great, Lee, for you to be enjoying your vacation. How long is Lee away for?
He's gone for a couple weeks.
Yeah, okay, great. Well, safe travels there, Lee. In the meantime, we'll try to fill Lee's shoes here today. So,
yeah, and for people that don't know, David Burrows is a longtime colleague of ours. He's come into town for this. He's a native to Sarnia, and in and around Sarnia, he's pretty much Niagara 411. He mentions he's got the show with David Burrows, and I don't know if this is a record. I don't know if anybody's really, but you've been doing weekly live shows in Sarnia for 10 years now?
Over 10 and a half years, every week, never missed a week. I think we're coming up to episode 564.
Which is absolutely incredible. You talk about groundbreaking in the world of live streaming.
Yeah.
And another feather in your cap is not only do you teach, but you also designed Canada's only accredited live streaming post-secondary.
Yeah. Well, I'll say
tell us a little bit about that. Lambton College?
Yeah, Lambton College in Sarnia, great college. And I don't just say that because I live there. They really are great at putting things together. But I won't say the only one now, but we were the first in Canada to have an esports entrepreneurship and administration program. And I was hired to design the live stream marketing and production class that's within that program. And that started back in 2019, and I've been teaching it ever since. So technically, yes, I'm the first in Canada to teach live stream marketing and production as part of an esports course. So, yeah, okay, I'm bragging a little bit now, but it's definitely, and we're still in this very early stages of live streaming. You know, Kevin, as you well know, I know WeeStreem, you've done a lot of great productions, which you've included myself and my son Jason into, and we've learned a lot from you as well. But there's still a long ways to go with this live streaming. And honestly, Niagara 411 is a great example of what you can do with live streaming. So
yeah, and to that, I mean, today I know you're going to get to that, what we're going to talk about on the show, and we scour Niagara 411, and we don't just look at the stories, we also look at the comments, and in a lot of cases reach out to the people that are really making the stories, the humans of Niagara. We used to say, David, that the show is in Niagara, by Niagara, for Niagara,
right,
as a bit of a cell line, and we truly do stick to that, and I know we got a lot of interesting things coming up on the show today.
Yeah, and we'll get to that. I do want to make sure that I say thanks to our sponsors, of course. Gale's Gas Bar is partly how we're fueled here today, and Performance Heating and Air, along with Verge Insurance Brokers, and of course WeeStream. This is all produced by WeeStream and Kevin Jack. Thanks so much for that. And you pointed out to me too. Of course, I work with the Sarnia Sting hockey team in Sarnia, and I didn't realize just how close. Yeah, here we go. Boo-hoo, right? I'll tell you what. I'll make you a deal though. You come down to Sarnia, and I'll get you a couple of tickets. And then you get me a couple of tickets, and we'll come here, and we'll. I'll even wear a Sting jersey down here.
Oh, wow. And you know what? I think things are back open again. The Ice Dogs are ready to set. I think they're playing either an exhibition game or something Labor Day weekend down at the Valet Center in Port Colborne. So I mean, we're right on the cusp of another season, and for us here,
everything's open. It's
a lot of optimism in Niagara with a brand new management team, a brand new ownership group that includes the great one, Wayne Gretzky. So I'm kind of crossing my fingers. I want to grab tickets to the first home game, the home opener, wondering if Wayne's going to make an appearance.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because, you know, I mean, obviously with things open again now, we're getting the same vibe down in Sarnia for the Sarnia Sting. And I know that they've got a new vibe going on, a new in-game experience that they've put together because they've had the time to do it. But we do like the black and white game, you know, which supports our United Way, which I'm sure they do this similar thing down here. So those preseason games, if you want to like understand what might be coming, get out to the preseason games as well, and that's you kind of just see what's going on, what's new, and but that's exciting to have the great one involved. I mean, don't have to say anything, really. Just say the name, right?
No.
So
at this point, David, I want to remind everybody that throughout the show, I mean, we'll be live until 1:30.
Yeah.
And the show is absolutely wide open for anybody to join. So if there's something that we're talking about, you want to talk about the Ice Dogs, you want to talk about things that are happening in and around Niagara or just in your little enclave, the Zoom link is right there in the comment, and it's in the post as well. If you've used Zoom before, it's that easy.
Yeah, it's just click, and I'd love to talk to you. I really would enjoy, you know, again, this is new to me in this area. It's the first time I've been down this way. And I will give a shout out, though, selfishly to my viewers. If you're watching on the Show with David Burrows Facebook page, everybody's welcome to click on the link, say hello, and let us know your positive thoughts about things here on Niagara 411 Live. And again, thanks to Lee Sterry for allowing me to fill in. I know I got some tall shoes to fill. We were figuring out the cameras here, and Kevin was like, "You're not as tall as Lee. You're going to have to readjust a bunch of things." So,
well, Lee also wears like a 14-gallon hat, too.
Right.
So.
I have one, but hats don't really fit me that well. I typically only wear it when I'm driving my car that has a sunroof in it, and I don't want to burn my head. But
you know what? We got to get you out to see Kevin and the good folks out at Beau Chapeau in Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Oh, okay.
It's absolutely the best hat store in all of Ontario, and we'll bring you out there, and they will find one that suits your face, suits your head, suits everything.
And there's a name for that. I interviewed a lady. Actually, talk about memories popping up on Facebook. I interviewed a lady, and I can't remember what they call it, but a person who makes hats has a name, and she measured my head. I'll just say it like this so it comes across more polite. For a helmet for my motorcycle, I have to have a 4XL. So I have a large circumference. I don't know what I think it was 27 inches or something. So there's a name for that. So yeah.
I'm looking it up. Aren't they just called hattiers?
No.
Here we go. A hatter or a milliner?
A milliner, that's what it was. A milliner. So I was like, there's a name for that? Apparently there is.
Yeah, if I had my choice of hatter or milliner, I'd go with milliner.
Yeah, because people would go, huh? They'd ask more questions, I think, right?
Sounds fancy.
So I would love to go down there because I would like to wear hats. They're hard to find. I usually have to order them. Even on that big store online that we order from.
While we're on the topic, know what else they just installed? And you wouldn't know this. We talked about it a bit on the show. They have Ontario's only hat restoration shop as well. and they have equipment that dates back like 100 years.
A hat restoration.
So if you have a hat that's maybe just fallen into disrepair over the years, you can bring it back and they'll restore it up to its former glory. And I mean, you're not going to do that with your $20 baseball cap.
Well, no, but
maybe your grandfather's hat that you can't wear anymore because it's getting a little tattered. Bring it in there, and they'll absolutely bring it right back to life.
My grandfather, he wore, I think they called it an Andy cap, right? Because that was named after the cartoon character. Not cartoon, comic strips.
Yeah, comic strips.
Do they even do comic strips anymore?
Oh, yeah, they do. Around here, Hamilton Spectator has a great one on the weekends. My father-in-law picks it up on the weekend, I think, just for the comics. It's about a 4-page full-color spread.
Okay. Comics, and does he do the, not the crossword, but my dad always liked to do the jumble
search?
words.
Yeah, the word search?
The jumble, where you had to figure.
I could never figure out the
I
jumble.
was not smart enough. My dad, he did crosswords in pen. Just saying. Well, thanks for the warm welcome, Kevin, and thanks to all of you for being here today and joining us on Niagara 411. I've really enjoyed sitting with Kevin and actually going through and preparing the show here. It's been an experience to me, obviously, because I'm not from the area, and it's so beautiful down here, like the water and everything. I meant to bring my drone down, and now I'm kind of kicking myself, wishing I had done that. So now I've got another reason to come back besides a hockey game. But we were talking last night about something very special that happened at a wedding.
Yeah.
This is so cool. If you're a comic book hero fan, and this gentleman was definitely a huge fan of the Incredible Hulk, and I'm talking about the Incredible Hulk, the original Incredible Hulk, the one that I watched when it was a couple of years ago, with Lou Ferrigno. And this gentleman getting married.
Yeah, here, I'll back up the story a little bit for you, David.
Tell us a little bit more.
So here you go. So Chris Dabrowski is a Niagara Falls City Councilor. He's also a dad. I bumped into him last night out at the soccer pitch because our boys are the same age.
Okay, right.
So he also runs Icon Autographs. And last weekend he brought in Lou Ferrigno, the original Hulk, for an autograph session.
So cool.
You can see there's all the stuff kind of set up, and there's Lou right now.
Lou, look at that.
So that's the Hulk.
Wow.
That's what Lou Ferrigno looks like now. And he told me that
he still looks pretty good. I mean, considering
huge. He's huge.
Well,
Lou Ferrigno's massive.
He's the Hulk.
I mean, you look at him just literally hulking over these people.
Yeah.
And the beard, he says, he's shooting right now in Syracuse. So that's what made him available, just to kind of hop over the border on the weekend.
All right.
So here he is, and shooting. There you go. Hey,
and he's actually been busy in the movie world on Paramount Plus, that app or whatever, a streaming service. He was in a movie called The Offer, which is based on the making of the Godfather movie, and he was in that. He never said one word the whole time. It's a true story, but he played the character very well. So I mean, it's nice to see he's still active, but.
So, I mean, there you have, that's Councilor Dabrowski, that's Chris Dabrowski down at Table Rock, and said that he'd never been there. Lou had never been down to Table Rock. He's been to Niagara Falls, but never actually been right to the brink there.
Oh, wow.
I asked Chris whether or not he got recognized. He said, with the beard and what have you, not a lot of people were recognizing much. Other than...
Well, that's a time thing, too, a generational thing, right?
Yeah, who's that mass of a man?
Yeah, right.
So anyway, that was Saturday afternoon, the autographs and all that stuff. And then you were alluding to... a wedding that was taking place Saturday night at John Michael's Banquet Center out in Feulled South. And a buddy of mine, as it happens to be a longtime friend of mine and friend of the show, Corey Motley, was DJing the wedding. And I saw him post this photo the following day saying, hey, look at that. Look who I bumped into.
I went to DJ a wedding and the Hulk showed up. The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, the Incredible Hulk showed up. So... you're wondering what the deal is, and I know you know enough about the story, David, and I'll get some of the video clips set up, but you can let people know, why was the Hulk, why was Lou Ferrigno showing up to John Michael's Banquet Center Saturday night?
Yeah, well, because apparently he's just like, the groom that was getting married is like this incredibly huge fan of the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk. And I guess just one conversation led to another and said, hey, would you mind popping by this wedding? And I guess Lou was just like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Which, when you're in that status of being a celebrity, You can be quite busy, and it can be exhausting at times, I'm sure. And you just want, sometimes you just want to, I don't know. So for somebody like Lou to just say, yeah, let's absolutely do that, and make somebody's, it's almost like he gave them the golden ticket to the Willy Wonka factory, right? That's a once in a lifetime thing. Like, talk about timing. Timing is everything, and like you couldn't have planned that any better, scheduled any better. One conversation leading to another, and just made somebody's dreams come true that night, on top of obviously getting married. What a way to enhance that day as well. And we were able to catch some of that, or somebody, who was this that, there's the video on TikTok.
And you could see the groom almost doubled over just in, I don't know, surprise, elation.
Did he forget about his wife for a little bit? Go, sorry, honey, Lou's over there. I got to go say hi. And, I don't, have you ever been starstruck, Kevin? Like, have you ever met anybody you just kind of went, wow.
I'll tell you, if I get the chance to meet Wayne Gretzky, I'll be dumbfounded.
Yeah, right? I know what you're talking about. I've met a few musicians that I've interviewed over the years, and there's a couple where I just kind of, and I don't typically get starstruck, but this would be cool. And sometimes I think, like, if I ever were to meet that person, what would I do? What would be the first thing that I got to ask? A friend of mine who's a huge Transformers fan and does a show online as well, got to interview the gentleman who does the voice for Optimus Prime, right? And he's like, it took me weeks to go. They told him he had 10 minutes and that was it. What's the first thing you would do? Like, I would probably want to flex with Lou. And we know who'd win, but...
I mean, look at that guy. He's massive.
But massive, but he's always come across as the teddy bear in real life, I've watched a couple of documentaries on Lou and what he grew up from. So he's really come a long way and pushed through a lot of obstacles, and he's just a nice, genuine person. And that's kind of cool when you have that power, I guess, to use it in a positive way to make somebody's day happy. Like, they'll never forget that. And I wonder, like, will there be more photos of the bride and groom with Lou, or will there be more photos of just the bride and groom from that one, right? And
I mean, there's my buddy Corey. He's probably 6'2".
Yeah. So Lou's like 6'4"?
Maybe more, maybe 6'5", 6'6".
Wow.
He's a large man, a Hulk. Hulk of a man.
He comes by the name, honestly, right? And I remember watching that show when I was younger. Of course, Bill Bixby, right, played Mr. Banner, and then you imagine what they went through to, like, paint him green every episode. There's a lot of patience going on there to sit down still for that, and I just think it's really nice. Cool story to share there. Congratulations to the bride and groom as well, and shout out to you, Lou, for taking the time to make somebody's day and just put a big smile on their face. What a cool story. It's nice to have that story to tell for a long time to come.
Now, David, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we're still waiting for Emily, our guest, to hop on the show. So maybe we'll hold off on that story, because I really do think that Emily is going to provide a perspective that you and I can't
absolutely. Give. So we'll just kind of put it out there, what we're expecting from our friend Emily, who's going to join us. Emily has experienced, and as we've come to learn by reading the comments, many people who park in the disability parking spot, who have the sticker, have experienced, like, verbal abuse from people saying, why are you parking there? You don't look like there's any issue, right? And it's become a problem for many people. And Emily Cadigan, I hope I'm saying that right, is going to be joining us via Zoom to talk about her experience, and we'll share that story. But we'll come back to that when that's all ready.
You know what, Lee? Just to kind of tease it, because you talked about it.
Did
Emily,
you call me Lee? You totally
called me
I knew
Lee. This was going to happen. David, Emily shared this video with us, and I'll just, and of course, when she's here, we'll give a little more context on it.
Yeah, let's show that. But
just one of the experience. So here she is outside of Freshco somewhere in Niagara, and this goes back to 2017. So this isn't even that recent. This is what people like this live with.
Yeah, you don't look handicapped.
Excuse me, would you like to see underneath my clothes? Would you like to see everything underneath me?
Where's your handicap sticker?
Take a look at it. Go ahead, take a look.
Go ahead. Go ahead, lady. Go ahead. That's right. Go ahead.
Like, can you believe that garbage?
To be questioned, right? Where does that come from? Is what I.
Excuse me, would you like to see underneath my clothes? Would you like to see everything underneath me? Where's your handicap sticker? Take a look at it. Go ahead, take a look. Go ahead. Go ahead, lady. Go ahead. That's right. Go ahead.
Yeah.
And do you hear the first thing out of that lady's mouth is, you don't look handicapped to me.
Yeah,
Right.
you don't look handicapped. Excuse me, would you like to see underneath my clothes? Would you like to see everything underneath me? Where's your handicap sticker? Take a look at it. Go ahead, take a look. Go ahead. Go ahead, lady. Go ahead. That's right. Go ahead.
I can't. Yeah. I'm trying to choose my words carefully, Kevin, because that even to look at that, I go like, okay, what are we looking at here? Somebody's judging me based on what they don't see. And if I may, I'll get a little personal here on this one. I meant to tell you this last night when we were talking, but when I was a young boy, at 5 years of age, they discovered that I had epilepsy. And if you don't know what epilepsy is, it causes seizures, and there's petit mal, which is I would daze off, or grand mal, where I'd shake, rattle, and roll, so to speak. And that was at a time, I'm 53, so that was at a time when they didn't really know what it was. It was something new, kind of like Tourette syndrome. They had no idea what that was. I had a friend who had that. And I was fortunate that by the age of 14, I've outgrown it, which is very, very rare. But the point I want to get to there is sometimes I would take the day off of school because I just knew that all these seizures were going to be happening. And then I would go back in the afternoon and I would say, well, I wasn't feeling well. And I had a bus driver look at me one time and she said, well, you don't look sick to me. And I've never forgotten that statement now that 53 years old. And it's like, but you don't really know what's going on. Just like we like to say, like, you never really know what's going on in a person's life, what happened to them that day. Smile at everyone because you could be giving them, the last bit of hope that they need to keep going. So when I see something like that, that's just upsetting to me, but I can imagine to Emily, and as we've discovered reading in the comments, there's many, many other people who have experienced this type of, well, it's abuse. It's abuse. There's no other way to talk about it. So anyway, we'll get back to that when Emily's available. She's supposed to be joining us at some point via Zoom, but and that I'm really looking forward to that story. But we'll come back to that. I wanted to talk about there's a new roundabout in the area, right? Which is in Niagara Falls, and new roundabout complete at Bridge Street and Victoria Avenue in Niagara Falls. Now that it's complete, you're the mayor of Niagara Falls, right? Jim Diabati? Did I say? Diodati. I got to tell you, I'm really excited. Let's watch this video that Kevin's going to pull up for us here, and he's going to talk about the new roundabout. Go ahead, Kevin.
Welcome to the grand opening of the newest roundabout here in the region of Niagara, in Niagara Falls, at the corner of Bridge, Victoria, as we have the gateway into downtown. This is going to be a connection with all three arteries. We're going to have Thoroldstone Road, Victoria Avenue, and Bridge Street. So now we're going to connect the downtown, the GO train station, the tourism core, and it's all going to connect up to the QEW. That's this beautiful roundabout. Roundabouts, if anyone watches Mythbusters, are 30% more efficient than a signalized intersection. And the other added bonus that we have here in Niagara Falls, you'll notice the structures, that is for landing pad for intergalactic tourists. The saucer section will land perfectly on the top. They'll walk down the stoned area and enter the city. Welcome, live long, and prosper.
I love this guy. I've just met him that way. I'd love for him to click on the Zoom link and talk to him. He's so dynamic, and
Welcome.
I want to vote for him, even though I can't. I'd love to vote for Jim. Thanks for doing that, Jim. And roundabout here, taking a look at this picture, obviously a drone shot here. this is a beautiful design, like it's a good looking roundabout. I never thought I'd say that. That's a good looking roundabout.
No, you're right. I thought the same thing. That's a beautiful roundabout.
Right. And well designed. Now, I got to say, we have one down our way in Brights Grove, and they're building another one in the Warwick area. How do you feel about roundabouts, though? Do you, like you heard him say there that they're 30% more efficient than then, say, having a turn signal. But I do feel like there's some education that goes along with how to use a roundabout. Are you supposed to put your turn signal on to go, because you're always going right anyway, going to the right, and then if you come to the left, and I don't know what the rules are on that one, but Kevin, do you know how to use a roundabout, or do you just go?
You know, if you've got the right of way, you just go. And if you got the
right.
yield sign, you got to yield. It's pretty straightforward, but it's amazing. I mean, just yesterday, I watched a guy who was in the roundabout come to a complete stop to try and negotiate who was going next.
Yeah.
You're like, it's you. You have no signs in front of you. It's you. So.
And sometimes, here's where okay, so now we're on to the traffic thing. But congratulations on the roundabout. I think that's fantastic. Obviously, a nice ribbon cutting service there. And it was obviously something needed. I like that they included the intergalactic landing pad there. It's for thinking ahead and live long and prosper.
So here, if you want to give some perspective, David, so here's the roundabout. I mean, there you see that's Victoria Ave, and it goes all the way, and there's the core of Niagara Falls,
right.
And you see all the big hotels over there. Down to the left here, that would be Bridge Street, and that would go towards the Nexus Bridge.
Okay,
and Bridge Street back up. The main one is this one that you see offshooting, the fifth into this spoke.
all right.
And what that's doing is that's connecting this road to the Feulled Stone extension that led to the Gale Center, the 4-pad.
Okay.
And that's been a work in progress. So here, let me see if I can pull that up for you, David, and I'll kind of talk you through it here.
Yeah. Because I obviously don't know where I am.
Right. So here's Feulled Stone Road, and that's the intersection of Stanley. And Feulled Stone Road used to end there.
Okay.
And then they built the Gale Center, which is right over here. So they extended Feulled Stone Road, but it just came to this weird end.
Oh, okay.
They extended the road, but then it just ends. So if you were to go diagonally here from top left to bottom right, that's the intersection that now has a roundabout.
Okay.
So what this does is it allows traffic that's on Feulled Stone.
It's flowing better, obviously.
Yeah, you don't have to jog down past the cemetery on Stanley and then down Bridge Street or anything like that. You could just keep going right along Feulled Stone. Past
So it removes some clutter when traveling.
It
really
really does.
Right?
It's just,
and that's a large roundabout. That's not just a tiny little roundabout going on there. But I do want to come back to you got to understand how to use them. And a lot of times in traffic, things can get frustrating and people give dirty looks and all that and whatever else we do, right? I find that, for example, when you come to a stop sign, and I'm turning left, but you're coming straight through, who has the right of way? The person going straight through, right? And what I find a lot of people do sometimes, and I get they're trying to be polite, but they'll look at you and they'll wave you through and they'll say, go ahead, you go ahead, you go ahead. And I think, no, you shouldn't do that. You should just follow the rules of the road, because I'm looking, I'm like, did he tell me to go? Should I go? And then we both go, and then that's when accidents happen. So I get people are trying to, if my wife's watching, she's laughing right now. She's like, you're just looking for the opportunity to tell that story. But it's absolutely true. I get why people are doing it. They're trying to be polite, but they really could be causing more of a problem than anything else. So just follow the rules of the road, like Kevin said there. Use the yield. You have to yield and let somebody else go when it's clear, or away you go, and keep going. Don't stop. Don't stop.
Now, Sarnia, you said there's a roundabout in Brights Grove, but other than that, you haven't been inundated? Because it seems all across Niagara,
it's coming.
If a new intersection is to be installed, it's roundabout. It's not.
Well, like I said, there's Brights Grove there, and if we go a little further the other way, there's Warwick in the Warwick Township. They're building one right now. And there's more coming. There's more coming for sure, because they seem to have proven themselves to work well. I do think there's a bit of an education process, or people getting used to the idea of especially when it's a road you've gone down 100 times in your life and all of a sudden there's something new there. Like, and I know on another street we have Brock Street and London Road, they don't allow right-hand turning on a red anymore because it was just too dangerous. And people are still obviously doing it because they have for, 30 years of their life. So, but congratulations on the roundabout happening there. And Jim Diodati, I wish he would click on the Zoom link if he's listening.
No, he's as charismatic as they come.
He's fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. Well, let's talk about some phones at the table. And I know that I'm probably going to get... where did I put my phone? I don't even know where my phone is.
You don't know where your phone is. It's like being naked.
What's going on? That's terrible. It's in my pocket. We were going to have to stop the show there for a minute. But it's true. I mean, I'll tell you right now, Kevin, driving down here from Sarnia to do this show, if I'd have gotten halfway here and realized I left my phone at home, I would have turned around and drove back to Sarnia to get my phone because, well, I got to have my phone, right? Isn't it interesting how we live like that now? I will say that, do you take your phone to the washroom?
Number 1 or number 2?
Either.
Number 2 for sure.
Number 2 for sure. Because it's like the newspaper now, right? Yeah. I take it every time. I get up in the morning and I say hello to my wife first, most of the time. And then I go to the washroom and there's my phone with me, right? But phones at the table, let's talk about this. And this was a really nice gesture from another couple in Niagara Falls. To the couple at Mick and Angelo's tonight, I'm beyond grateful and speechless. Tonight my boyfriend and I went out for dinner. It was a day off together and they sat and chatted the whole time. We had drinks and dinner. When we asked for the bill, our waitress told us another couple paid for our dinner because they were happy to see a young couple having fun and talking to each other rather than...
David?
Oh, I'm sorry. Were we doing a show?
David, I just...
I'm sorry, that's rude. Right? So, yeah, that was... What a nice gesture, though, to see that. And I got to tell you, I can totally relate. I think we can all relate to this at some point. I know when Jennifer and I go out, we have seen other couples, and she usually sees it first because she's checking the room out everywhere we go, and she'll say, look at that, David. Like, oh, come on, like, Now, that being said, I can't be too much of a hypocrite. I don't stare at my phone when we go out, but I'm checking in. And sometimes she has to take it away from me, flip it downwards, and then, yes, we're having a conversation, and then we do that. The only time we really pick it up is like if we're done eating and we're talking, and it's like, okay, what are we going to do next? Or, okay, I need to check in on this. But it's not there's no silence at the table, I guess, at the end of the day. And I know when, it's a generational thing too, I think, Kevin, because well, obviously this was a young couple, though, that you would have thought maybe come from the generation of having the phone in hand all the time. But they obviously recognized each other's company and said, hey, I want to talk to you and get to know you, and let's laugh and have fun, which I know, like my in-laws, who are much older than I, when the kids were younger and we would go visit, that was the rule. And I would tell my kids, I'd say, you leave the phone in the car. I don't care. Well, what if I want to take a picture? I'll take a picture and I'll send it to you later. Like there's all these excuses as to why I need my phone. And my in-law, both of them have looked at the kids when they were younger and said, I'm sorry, is there somebody more important than me right now?
Yeah, and you know what? It's just the times they are changing. And when I grew up, my parents wouldn't let us answer the phone if it was during dinner hours.
Right.
If that phone rang at like 6 o'clock, 6:15,
and we're eating,
sorry, nobody's getting
up. Too bad. No,
yeah,
that's the way it should be.
So let alone phones at the table. You're not even answering, and that's when we had 4 phones in the house.
Yeah. Well, and that's when you're old enough to have party lines.
Oh, come on now. So it's great to see, and I'll throw them up here, David, and we can kind of look through some of them. But a lot of the comments and reactions of people weighing in about that whole issue, about communication, about technology, about phones at the dinner table.
Yeah. Yeah, well, let's see. Well, so nice. Well done to you both for spending quality time together. Yeah, and that's really, I think that's the biggest message in all of this, is it comes down to the quality time that you spend with each other, you know, as sitting at the dinner table. That's why you go for walks. Walks isn't just all about the exercise. I've seen people do that. They're going for walks, literally the other day, going for walks, holding hands, but in the other hand, they're staring at their phone, and now they're scrolling with their thumb because their other hand's like, I don't know, just put it away, put it in your back pocket. My name is Susan, and I was the server. Oh, okay. It's so good to see kindness in this crazy world. I wish more people would take the time for kindness. Pay it forward to the amazing young couple tonight. Made my night. Thanks for sharing that, Susan. What else have we got here? Wow, what a lovely story. Gesture and 2 wonderful couples. So nice to see a story like this. Thanks for sharing. Such an act of kindness. How awesome. These are the kind of stories, I mean, we've already seen it there a little bit, like this is a super positive story. And people love to comment on that stuff. A beautiful story. Thanks for sharing. My hubby and I both don't even have our phones out at dinner, and I hate it when I see people using them, not just at dinner. Anything social. What is that important? So and again, I agree. I'm still a little guilty at times. I have to kind of be conscious about it and reminded, but it's usually very brief if I do. But is that okay? No, it should just totally not. It shouldn't even be on the table, I guess, right? So just leave it, tuck it away. Yeah, okay. So guess what? Now, when I go home and people see me out for dinner with Jennifer, as they often do, if they're watching, I better make sure my phone's away or I'm going to get scolded, right? Speaking of phones, though, I was scrolling through Instagram this morning and I saw an interesting story about phones, but in the sense of how we communicate. How do you like to, like, Kevin, do you want me to send you a text? Do you want me to call you on the phone? Do you want me to messenger you? Do you want me to WhatsApp you? I know you're a big fan of WhatsApp. And what if I took my phone, and this seems to be coming back, the whole talk to your phone voice message. Do you want the voice message? What about FaceTime? Let us know in the comments here today on the Facebook page what your thoughts are. How do you like to be messaged? And how do you like to communicate? I'm still, the best way for me, 100%, is the old pick up the phone and talk to me. And Kevin, I know you like WhatsApp.
No, I like WhatsApp. I love the phone call, though.
Yeah.
So often one phone call, especially in business, and people are so apprehensive these days. Anybody under 35, they will not call you.
Yeah.
They will not call you.
Unbelievable.
You can call them. They won't answer, and they'll text you right back and say, how can I help you?
Well, perfect example. We were driving here, right? I was calling my son, Jason. He's 22 years old. I'm calling him to tell him, it doesn't even matter. And he didn't answer. And then I texted him, and he texted me right back, right after I called him. Then I finally got through. I said, tried to call you. So he took that as a hint I wanted to talk to him. And then I called back, and he answered. So I don't know, is it generational? The girl that I was watching this morning, there were 3 ladies talking. And she was like, don't send me the voice message. Not even a voicemail. She's like, a voicemail, I won't even listen. I don't even check my voicemail until I get a message. She says her voicemail actually gets converted into text and automatically gets sent to her. She doesn't want to listen to the voice out loud.
No, that's a generational thing too. People,
Yeah.
I'd say my age, and I'm 45.
Okay.
So 45 and under, they don't leave messages anymore because the message is, I called you. And I know you're going to get a notification that said, I called and you missed my call.
Right.
So I don't need to leave a message. You see that I called and you missed the call. So call me back.
Missed call, right?
The only people that leave voicemails anymore are people, I'd say, 60 and above.
Well, and even if Jennifer leaves voicemails, but I tease her because she leaves long voicemails. It's like, hi, it's Jennifer. So I'm just calling because, you had a da-da-da-da-da. And I wanted you also to know that da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, and then I start laughing because I'm right there. And she's like, what? I'm like, all you had to do is say, hi, it's Jennifer, call me. That's it. You did, and I said, in fact, you don't even have to do that. It says missed call, right? You just had the phone conversation with the person. And now they're going to, if you call somebody and leave a voicemail, should they call you back or can they text you back their reply?
I don't know. I don't know the rules anymore. I just know that I'm aging myself out of significance with every
You're
passing
frustrated
day.
when you said, I don't know. Oh my goodness, I don't know.
And unfortunately, you know what it is, David, and I truly believe this, if we, me being 45, you north of 50, if we don't start to just accept it,
Yeah.
we become our parents.
I'm not changing.
We become the guy, shaking his cane on the front porch saying, "Get off my lawn."
Yeah.
Are you annoyed at the spelling habits? We just have to get used to the fact that if you write the letter U and the letter R for you are, that is totally acceptable.
That's a whole new alphabet.
You have to just
dictionary.
accept it. That's fine, and it doesn't mean the person's stupid. It doesn't mean that the person doesn't know how to actually spell those words.
I think
it's just brevity.
Yeah, especially with with what I do, which is a lot of social media and a lot of interaction on social media. It's, I'll tell you, 5-6 years ago, I was probably that guy. I was like, just call me. Why? Because I even find in emails can turn into like a texting thing as well, where you're the first email comes out, you're describing what it's all about, and then I have a question, and then I reply with it's like a text now, and now it's like e-text, email text. Is that a thing? I don't know, but let's talk about tone in all of this, though. Like, I think I gave you an example earlier too. Like, I had somebody reach out to me about something that was bothering them or whatever, and then I replied with "OMG, sorry," and they took it as, "Oh my God, sorry," right? Like, and what I meant was, "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry." Like, but the situation that he was texting me about was already set. The tone was already set. He was upset about something, and so they, I guess, just assumed that that's how I would be, right? And I'm like, no, like, I was truly sorry, but there's no tone in that. And I think, well, I know a couple of people that I know personally that they've split up with their girlfriend or boyfriend because bad texting.
Oh man, that's a thing. There's like
bad texting.
I had no idea.
I mean, but then, of course, and these are young relationships, like, I'm talking ages 25 type thing, and maybe they were dating 6 months or whatever.
I know what you mean.
They might have been looking for an excuse to break up with each other. that was the one. But you do got to be careful with how you say it in a text, like, because that whole tone thing is not there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, David. And the expression I've always used is told people that people will read your text message in the tone that suits their mood at that time.
Right. If they're having a bad day, it's not a good time to text.
Your example was perfect, like OMG, sorry.
Yeah.
You meant it sincere.
If
they were here in the room, you'd say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry about that. I'll fix it right away."
Yeah.
But because they thought that you were a little flip about the whole thing, they read your text as
he's just
like
being a jerk.
Oh my gosh, sorry.
Right. Yeah. And that's where, Jennifer and I have a rule about texting, and she follows it most of the time. Text me 3 times, and then if it's any more than that, it's a phone call. If this is going to turn into, and Jason's really good at that at the same time. If it gets beyond, here's the other, what about texting in the same home? So I'm in my studio at home the other day. Jason is literally, his room is behind my wall in the studio, and he's texting me, asking me something. And I replied with, "Get up and walk 10 steps and come and talk to me about it." And of course he did, but
I know, but
he would have been okay if I'd have just kept replying with it.
We're just showing our age. Like, I honestly think that couples under 35 will text things to each other sitting next to each other on the couch.
Well,
like, literally, I think it goes that far, and there's, in their world, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Like, literally, I think that happens.
Does that partly come from? It's like dating now. Like, it's, what is it, Tinder or whatever? Whatever the app is, you swipe left, swipe right.
Yeah. I still don't know what the good one is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
is it left
but
or
honestly,
right?
Facebook has a dating app built right into it. I think honestly that's how Jason met his girlfriend.
Yeah. I'd
That's the
encourage
norm.
anybody if you're watching Niagara, if you're watching in
Yeah.
Sarnia, and you want to weigh in on this, the link is right there in the post, and it's open to anybody. So if you've used Zoom, if you got it on your phone, just click on that link. It'll open the app, and next thing you know, you're live chatting here with David and myself
Yeah.
live at Fiddler's Poorhouse. But man, so many nuances, and I'll tell you, David, is we just have to learn to accept, or else we become the old people just
I know.
decrying the next generation.
These young children today, they don't. Every generation goes through that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, music is a great example of that, right? I mean, look at Elvis Presley back in the day of, they would only show him from the waist up because he wiggled too much, right? And now, seriously, now it's like, whatever. I remember the band Twisted Sister, right? We're not going to take it, right? And I would be upstairs in my room and I was just cranking it because, well, we're not going to take it. Maybe that's where the attitude started, was with that Twisted Sister. I don't know. But,
well, you see the growing of time, right? So
Sure.
you look at that, and I just saw, I think it was this year at the Super Bowl, all of a sudden, Dr. Dre, Eminem,
Yeah.
50 Cent are at the Super Bowl, which is the most commercial
Snoop Dogg.
television event that we have. And Snoop Dogg, and in my generation, of course, I grew up listening to all those guys,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
was the devil's music.
it was totally
Absolutely not accepted by the mainstream, and
Not at all.
now it's safe music.
And Dre, I think it was either Dre or Snoop Dogg at the Super Bowl, made a comment during one of the raps they were doing, and it was something along, I can't say it, but it was something along the lines of, look, now we're at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And it's, it becomes more acceptable.
No, but the
over
previous
time,
generation was the Rolling Stones did the halftime.
right? Yeah.
And
yeah.
you wind the clock back 20 years prior to that, and the Rolling Stones, if you listen to them, you were going straight to hell.
Right. I watched even New Year's Eve shows. Talk about generational. Was it last year or the year before? Watching the music on the stage, and I'm just like, even me, like I can take a lot, but I just thought for public television, some of the things they weren't wearing and were jiggling on stage, I just thought this is not the time or the place. But apparently. And I remember Jennifer going, "Well, David, you're old, right?" She's younger than I am by 8 years, and I was like, "I'm not offended. I just don't know that that's the place. Like, would Dick Clark be rolling right now?" But again, all with the times. And you talk about generational change. I did see something on Instagram as well, and it was. Acted out by a gentleman and somebody in the vehicle, and they were at the grocery store, and they go, "80s children," and he had the grocery cart, and it was, "Look, Mom, I'm going to go put the grocery cart away," and he was all happy skipping along because he got to put the grocery cart away. Then it was 90s children. I'm probably going to get beat up for this now, but it was like, oh, why do I have to? Like, come on, they pay people to do that. They'll just leave it there. And then it was 2000 children, and it was all about, you're stressing me out now because I can't do, And I'm not saying that's all. I'm generalizing, obviously, because I'm sure there's somebody, they're not like that. But they could say that about us when we were younger. I went to high school in the 80s. And it was, and we didn't even have. We had a rotary dial phone with a really long cord stretched on it because we stretched it out so we could go in the closet and talk quietly to the girl, right?
My wife and I were reenacting that this week, doing the "No, you hang up. No, you hang up. No, I'm not hanging up. No, you hang up. Right. You did hang up. Okay, we'll hang up on 3. 1, 2, 3. You didn't hang up.
Right.
I didn't hang up either.
Let's go back to those times sometimes, I think.
Let's get back on track here with Niagara 411. And there was a pizzeria in the west end of St. Catharines that got robbed, I think, last weekend. And there's some very dramatic surveillance footage. I was talking to the owners just yesterday, trying to see if I can get them on the show.
Yeah.
They weren't available, but they did say no update. So we'll try and see if we can help. I'll throw the post up here, and then we'll get to some of their videos.
Yeah, this is Red Swan Pizza, right, in St. Catharines. And they had a break-in. This is 3 days ago that this was posted. So this is actually really good because a lot of times, you have video cameras And of course, Kevin knows all about cameras and quality. Sometimes people have these cameras, but they're useless. It's like you don't get a clear shot. It's like a pixelated criminal. Oh, that helped. And we always know that they typically are going to be wearing some kind of a hoodie or something. But Kevin, you, bring this up as large as you can, I guess, so everybody can see. And take a close look at this, folks, and maybe you can help Red Swan Pizza in St. Catharines. There's and this is very bold, in my opinion. I mean, any criminal act, I guess, in my opinion, is very bold. But
yeah, now a lot of the comments here, David, suggested that maybe it's a former employee or something like that because he seemed to know his way around.
Kind of knew, yeah, right. Like where to go, what time probably to go, because this is showing. So this, if this is accurate, August 20th at about 20 after 1 in the morning. Yeah. See, go there. Oh, come back. I forgot.
I mean, he's pretty comfortable for a guy that's, you know, the clock is ticking.
Well, assuming it's a guy.
Yeah.
Assuming, right? We do that, though, don't we? We assume. And we're coming into, yeah, okay. Yeah, very clear. I mean, kudos to Swan Pizza for having good video. It's worth the investment there, especially if they're able to find somebody. You know, and this is,
now here, some of the,
it's unfortunate this happened, but let's go to some of the comments. That,
well, some of the most dramatic videos here, like, I mean, where you actually see him crawling in through the door. There, he busted the window.
Yeah, right. Yeah, not bumping into anything, right? Not really looking around like there was a concern. So I kind of go with your theory there that this could be.
I mean, he's going right to the hot spots, right?
Yeah, didn't have to look for them.
Now, I heard somebody say in the comments, and I guess this is wise, I've never really worked retail or at least been in front of a cash machine, but saying we always leave our cash registers open overnight because invariably, if you get broken into, somebody will smash open the cash register to see if there's money inside.
Just leave it open. And
so just leave it open. That way they know, hey, the money's not there.
There's nothing here. Yeah, that's right. That's been, that's a long time practice for sure.
And I mean, he's just looking through. I mean, is he making himself a small pepperoni? What's he doing here?
Yeah, right.
Maybe he's just hungry.
Trying to figure out, how do I unplug this? See, and this is where I think he makes a mistake, honestly, is trying to smash this stuff open there. I think the idea would be to just grab what you think there might be stuff in and get out and try to smash it open later. But, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's other footage too.
We're gonna tackle some more of this too, because there's that show, America's Dumbest Criminals. we've got at least one of those coming up in a bit. So stay with us. Hey, listen, welcome to Niagara 411 Live, as we're showing this footage here at Red Swan Pizza and Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry. Obviously, I'm filling in. My name's David Burrows. Happy to come down from Sarnia, Ontario, to be the host here today. And WeeStream is producing all of this, my friend Kevin Jack, and we're here at Fiddler's Poorhouse. Poorhouse. I don't want to say poorhouse, but poorhouse is what I meant to say. And Mel is here ready to serve you up some lunch and some beverages. I know I'll be having lunch here likely after as well. So, and thanks to Gale's Gas Bars for their support, and of course, Performance Healing and Air, Verge Insurance Brokers, and all of you who are watching here. Please share your comments on the discussions that we're having here today, and there is a link in the description, as Kevin has mentioned several times. If you would like to click on the link and come on and join me on call with Zoom, you're welcome to do that and share your comments. Or maybe you've got a really positive story that you want us to focus on here. Or maybe you know somebody else like Red Swan Pizza who needs help in trying to find the criminals that have caused all of this. Would love to hear from you here today. There's such a mix of stories here today.
I can go to the dumb criminals because this guy probably top of the list. And you'd mentioned it.
I'm going to have a hard time getting through this one. Because it's so NRP, so Niagara Regional Police 6th District, right? Port Colborne, on routine patrol, observed an updated ATV towing. This is where it gets dumb.
So that's unplated.
Right, what did I say? Undated. Yeah, unplated ATV. So first of all, there's no plates on your vehicle. You're already having that. Towing a trailer on city streets, and a traffic stop was made and the ATV was stolen. The driver had an outstanding warrant and was subject to a criminal driving prohibition. The driver was arrested. No kidding. Was this guy like going down the road? The only thing missing here was a big flashing sign that said, "Please pull me over, I'm a criminal." Like, you really had all of this going on, and like no plates. It's a stolen vehicle, unplated. Like, do we have a category for this? And I just think, and then wasn't there some comments though?
So I'm trying to get to that. So there was the other guy that got busted because he's disallowed, his license has been revoked or whatever. And then in the comments, not only is he defending himself, but he's trying to sell off the truck.
Yeah, a truck got impounded or something.
It's been impounded. So here, I'll get to the story. I know I'm just like a scroll away, but this ATV guy, oh my gosh, like you said, just may as well put some sirens.
Well, first of all, I mean, an ATV on a city street, even if it's not stolen and it's plated, etc., you really, like, I don't know what the rules are, but really being on a city street with an ATV just seems a little unusual. Would I be a police officer and look and go, that's probably not supposed to be here? I think I'll go check that out, right? But yeah, here it is here, the truck and the trailer. This was 5 days ago, but receiving a tip from the public with regards to a disqualified for life driver. In other words, never ever going to drive ever again. Infinity. A large amount of drugs was also seized during the investigation. The driver arrested, charged accordingly. Now, this goes on. So of course the OPP called the towing service to come and get the truck and the trailer, and that's impounded. And then, as Kevin was talking about, at some point, the person who was charged has jumped into the comments here. Somebody said, "Oh, I wonder if I could buy the truck," or anyway, it turned into I don't know, like
here he is right here. So you wonder. Normally, we don't hear who these people are,
right?
And the guy's name is Teddy because he identifies himself.
Right. The guy charged for drugs.
Let me see. You know what? When you choose, and here's a tip for people when you're looking at comments. Okay, most relevant is selected, and sometimes that eliminates stuff. So I'm just going to go to
switch to all, right?
I go to newest, which is also all.
Okay, yeah.
Also all. So here we go. There's Teddy Shepard. So Teddy Shepard is the guy.
So somebody says, "I wonder if I can purchase this truck."
Yeah, here you go. Omar, right there.
Omar says, "Hey, I wonder if the truck's for sale."
You know, the truck and trailer's for sale.
Yeah. So the person charged is now soliciting the sale of a truck and a trailer.
There's Teddy right there.
He's obviously not sitting in a jail cell anywhere at the moment.
Want to buy the truck? You pay 45-day impound, trailer not for sale. And then look at his response to whether or not they impounded the trailer. So we learn a little something about the law.
Right. Yeah. I wonder.
Now, can you read that, David? I'm not sure.
Omar, want to buy the truck. You pay the 45-day impound, trailer not for sale. So the 45 days impound, depending on, that can be expensive. I have friends in the towing industry, and they charge accordingly. Did they impound that too, Scott? Nope. Trailer is good. Can't take it with valid plates and insurance. So this guy's now worried about valid plates and insurance, but he wasn't concerned about some other things.
Teddy figures that after 45 days, it'll cost you about $4,000.
Well, right, $100 a day. I don't know. I don't know. Even if it was me, even if it was a good deal, if you said, "Come and buy this truck," and it was a brand new truck in tip-top shape for $1,000, I still think I'd walk away from that just because of who I'm dealing with.
And it's crazy. We've seen a couple.
Sorry, not sorry.
A couple of those incidents in the last month, David. There was the other one where there was a stabbing downtown St. Catharines, and gosh, there's been far too many of those. But this one was right by the bus terminal.
Yeah.
And we found in the comments that the guy and the girl that the police were looking for that were pictured in the photograph were commenting on the Niagara 411 story and getting into a back and forth with some of the commenters.
Right.
And it was just bizarre. I've never really seen that. And here you have this guy Teddy. So anyway, setting
That's
up-
like going to a party and taking a picture and going, look at me having all fun, and then calling in sick to work the next day. Like, put some thought into this if you're going to be, but I'm certainly not here to give credit to anybody who's a criminal. I mean, that's in many areas. Wow, interesting story. ATV rider. Red Swan Pizza, we had that up as well if you have any information about that.
And David, before we get into, I mean, we're 2/3 of the way through the show. We are going to be featuring a new music video by John Lavoie.
Okay, coming up at the end.
Coming up at the end of the show.
Yeah.
Still trying to track down Emily. Seems she's MIA.
Okay.
If we can't get Emily on the show, we'll still do the story because it was.
Well, it's an important one to share.
Impactful.
It's an important one to share, and there's some important comments that I think need to be put out there too.
Just keeping us on the rails here. Let's thank all of our sponsors.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, of course, here at Fiddler's Pour House for allowing us to host Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry, and Gale's Gas Bar. That's partly who we're fueled with here as well. And then, of course, we got Performance Heating and Air. Thanks to their support, continued support as well.
Yeah, and I'd recommend, I mean, give Carlo and the gang a call down there. They're absolutely the nicest people.
Okay,
I
great.
forget exactly their tagline, but it's like they help Niagara families because they're a Niagara family too. I've met Carlo, met his wife.
Keeping it local too.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, they're just absolutely salt of the earth people, and they will help you out, and they will not point you in a needlessly expensive direction. And
Right.
isn't that what everybody's just looking
Yeah,
for?
I'm glad that you brought that up because obviously I don't know them, but obviously you do, and I think it's good people want to deal with other good people. At the end of the day, they don't want to get ripped off, and especially with something like this where, like, I don't know anything about heating and air, so whatever you tell me, I'm likely going to go, no, okay. So I like that you put that comment in there, Kevin. Thank you to Performance Heating and Air for that. And then also our friends at Verge Insurance Brokers Limited. Appreciate their continued support here as well every week. And also shout out to Kevin Jack of WeeStream for producing Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry. Now I know normally you're here on Thursdays, but scheduling for everybody just worked better today, so we're a day early. I would also encourage everybody, like, obviously we're live right now, but this video remains on Facebook. And if you have comments even after the live is over, I know they tend to try to go back and check out comments too. I know Kevin's very diligent about checking comments, and so feel free to leave your comments if you're watching this on the replay as well. I wanted to kind of go back here a little bit to, can we go into this baseball team that
oh yeah, Good Samaritan story.
Good Samaritan story. These are the good, feel-good stories. They're the best.
Yeah, and we love them, and keep sending them in as well. Nick gets them and he passes them along, and it brings so much joy. So often, not just social media feeds, but especially news feeds, are just full of, I'll say, negative stories.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. It's actually a reason why I don't watch CNN. You know what CNN stands for, Kevin? Constantly negative news.
Yeah,
I mean,
I haven't heard that one.
Am I going to get sued by them now? Yeah, so the positive stuff is definitely nice. There is so much negative. Well, the negative happens if you allow it to, right? So we do appreciate the feel-good stories, and if you have some good stories, or maybe you know somebody in the community who deserves a pat on the back or some kind of attention, reach out to Niagara 411 and let them know, and maybe they could be a guest here on Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry. And Lee, if you're watching, it's probably, they're 5 hours ahead of us over there, I think, so it might be about dinner time there. So Lee, if you're watching, thanks for allowing me to be here today. Kevin's doing a great job. He's got it all under control. Some excellent sportsmanship and fun, but boy, sports can certainly be competitive, as there is a competitive level that should be there, but there's also a friendliness aspect that should go along with it, and this is great. This weekend our kids are in a baseball tournament, or we're in a baseball tournament in Niagara Falls, and at 3 we played a yellow team from Beamsville. Their whole team and parents and coaches were some of the most amazing human beings I have seen in a long time. Not only were the parents and coaches cheering on their team, but our kids as well. The one female parent or coach was high-fiving our kids when they ran into home. So there's something you don't see ever, like, or maybe not often enough, right? So what an amazing show of sportsmanship, and say the world needs more human beings like that for sure. Hoping someone from the team sees this and knows how much it made so many people's day to see this. This is how kids' sports should be played.
I couldn't agree more.
And you're
David.
a big sports guy, right?
Big sports guy. I actually coach. For people that don't know,
Right.
here's the perspective I'm coming from. In addition to playing a lot of sports growing up, I also coached AAA hockey here in Niagara for 5 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I mean, that's some competitive stuff, and people take it pretty seriously. One thing that we always imparted upon the kids, or at least I tried to as well, is you got to win with grace and dignity as well.
Yeah.
And it's not just about how you lose. A lot of times it's about how you win. And kudos to this team out there for supporting everybody. I'm a soccer parent right now.
Okay,
and
yeah.
when I'm out there, I'm not cheering for my son. I'm cheering for everybody to do well.
Yeah.
And when people on the other team do well, I applaud that. When people on our team do something, I applaud that. And one thing I would encourage parents to do is remember that there's another side of it. For example, I see some kids, and even last night was out at the soccer pitch. And I know, they're 7, 8 years old, so I'm not going to come heavy-handed. But if I
Right.
was their coach, I'd tell them, you got to tone down the celebration a little bit. Because
Right.
even though you scored a goal, there's a kid playing net right now who just got scored on.
Yeah,
And he feels pretty crummy about himself right now.
Yeah.
And that person may not have the skill set, may not have the training to necessarily, or maybe you're just a way better soccer player.
And that
than they are.
happens as we get older too. I mean, even if you look at the World Juniors, right, in Canada winning over Finland, right?
Yeah.
And when that last goal came in, the goalie for the other team just dropped, like, devastation could really set in because you worked so hard to get there. And maybe these young kids, aren't at that level yet, but it does carry through with you.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. A celebration, but at some point you got to recognize that the people on the other side are as devastated. And the one joke that I always had was, and I'll just use Tim Hortons here, is Tim Hortons will show these commercials of Jimmy going on a breakaway. I remember this one specifically. Jimmy going on a breakaway, and he scores, top shelf on the penalty shot, and then the family goes out to Tim Hortons, and everybody's celebrating the victory. I'm like, where's the commercial of the kid in net?
Right.
Because I want to see that commercial too, because you have to remember that kid just got scored on.
There is two sides
and
to
he
it,
feels
for sure.
crappy right now. So how do we look at that perspective and change it so that everybody is lifted up by the experience?
Well,
It's not always easy,
but some might say, I'll play the what do they call it, devil's advocate here. Some might say, well, yeah, but that's part of the game, and you better learn how to deal with it, right? There is failures in sports, and when I say there's the word, right? Failure. It's so misused, failure. Like, I'm a loser now. No. It's okay to fail as long as you don't keep doing the same thing over and over. But failure way to success of things, right? But you have to learn how to accept. Like, failure is not complete. It doesn't have to be complete. It just might be in that moment of failure, but you can still keep going. You can become a better goalie. You can become a better soccer player. You can become better at whatever. But we do have to learn, or we have to teach, I guess, how to deal with that. I let the goal in, because there's emotion involved in that for sure.
And I guess,
and that comes down to the coaches and parents. And I guess leading back to this story, I guess is what I'm saying, is that there's a really great example too, because when that goalie or whatever comes off, it's okay to go over to them too and say, hey, you know what, you played a really good game. Like, you only let one in.
Yeah, and I think it's important, and getting back to the point that I was trying to make surrounding this story, is that you need to learn to win with dignity.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? Because a lot of times we focus on that as like, well, you know what, he just has to learn to lose. And it's like, you know what, maybe you need to learn to win better.
Jennifer, are you listening? My wife is so competitive. I'm talking Monopoly. I don't even play Monopoly with her. Her and Jason do, because she's like, I'm going to win, and I don't like, and she's a terrible winner. She's a horrible winner.
Yeah, you got thick skin, though. You can take it.
Yeah. I have to. Right? She does like to win. And her whole family, her side of that family, the Moons family, is like that. Like, I'll never forget going to the first, when we started dating and I was started going to the family reunions. And the first one I went to, they had volleyball all set up out there.
All right, sounds fun.
And right on, and away we go. And I remember Jennifer's sister saying to me, yeah, you should have a seat and watch this because it's about to get really competitive. Brutally. But yes, we have to learn how to win. And celebrations are good. Absolutely, you should celebrate. But I agree with Kevin on just how well do we celebrate that sometimes, right? Another reminder, too, coming up at the end of the show, as Kevin already mentioned, I love this aspect of Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry, playing and highlighting some local musicians and musical talent here in the Niagara area. And at the end of the show today, John Lavoie has a song called High Hopes. He is from St. Catharines, but he was in the Dominican and recorded a music video from the Dominican, which I thought turned out, planned very well as you were talking. And you'll see that coming up at the end of the show. Kevin will take care of that as well.
So, Lee, we got to take a big bite out of this one.
It's David, by the way.
Oh, gosh, David. Still hoping that Emily finds some time to join us. But,
yeah, absolutely.
You never know what happens in people's lives, but we got to get to this story because I was so moved, and I know you were as well. And it wasn't just the story; it was the ensuing comments. Over 1,000, I think 1.4 thousand comments, over 500 shares about an issue that we all find ourselves in from time to time.
This is all affected. It's obviously affected a lot of people, as we talked about earlier. But this is a bit of an interesting twist on this story. An apology from a disabled person for utilizing a disabled parking spot. Now, this gentleman starts out by saying, I would like to apologize to the woman who commented to me in regards to me parking in a disabled parking spot Saturday afternoon around 2:30. I was walking to my truck, which was parked in a handicapped spot with permit clearly displayed in the windshield. A woman drove by as I was getting in my truck and said to me, I wonder what kind of disability, eh? With a very sarcastic tone. And she then proceeded to drive around to the next row, while eating her sandwich and parked her car. I offered to explain my disability to her. However, my temper got the better of me. And I called her a stupid bee. This person has no idea of what my disability is or what I have been through. So when it was suggested that I did not deserve to park there, I did not use my better judgment and lashed out. Please be aware that not all disabilities are visual, and assume if I have a permit, there is a reason for it. So, hey, we all got our limits, right? So no excuse there for lashing out. But as this person apologized for. But I want to kind of dig deep into this, Kevin, because I want to, we're talking about like, well, that's not polite to do, or you're visualizing and then judging me based on what you see or don't see. Where does the problem come from, though? Like, where are people feeling that they need to? Why do you have that permit? Am I faking it? Is that what you're really accusing me of? Are you saying that I convinced my doctor to give me a note that would let me get that because I whined my back too much or something? Like, I don't know, but that's kind of where I wonder, where's this coming from people? If you have concerns about this or you have thoughts on this, please let us know in the comments so we can do our best to respond. But where do you think this comes from? And the apology is good. I mean, it's good to own up, right? When we make mistakes.
But it's almost like the wrong person is apologizing.
Well,
here.
who's the bigger person?
No, absolutely.
I guess at the end of it. But should I even have to apologize for this in the first place? Not apologizing though for having the sticker, parking where I'm allowed by law to park. I'm apologizing for handling it the wrong way, which is fair enough in that sense. But I'd be curious some of the comments that have come out from this.
This is what really opened our eyes, David, is the number of people that commented on here and say, yes, I live with a disability that may not be obvious, and I deal with abuse and ridicule and berated on a regular basis. We can be better, Niagara. We have to be better. I had no idea. So let's get to through some of these comments. I mean,
Well, here, if you have a permit, you don't have to explain to anybody. I mean, you have it. Like, I don't know, go to the MTO and complain.
I mean, here's Taylor Lee talks about her mom.
Okay, my mother fears getting a permit for this. Oh, fears getting a permit for this very reason. would definitely aid her on most days, and she wouldn't use it on the days she's doing better. People need to throw less judgment. So here's someone who wants to, and likely needs to, have this permit to help them better with their day when they go do their groceries, etc. Their shopping, like most of us like to do. But she's afraid to do it because of this. So this has obviously been observed by this person more than once. It's like, well, I'm not going to put myself through that. That's sad, really.
I mean, here's John's story. And I mean, this is just, we'll get through so many of these.
Yeah, I have COPD and severe asthma. A walk across a parking lot takes my breath away and I struggle to breathe. If I park in a handicapped spot, I have a permit. One might think there's nothing wrong with me as I can make it to the door with a little more ease. I then use a shopping cart in the store for support. So please be understanding. Right? Perfect example. I have, if I had asthma, you know what asthma is, right? Got to breathe. Driving my adult special needs granddaughter to Seaway Mall one day with the permit for her, clearly visible. We exited the car and a woman yelled at me, "You could at least limp if you're parking." Like, come on. And where does it... See, here's the other thing too is, everybody's got an opinion now because of Facebook, right? So I like to call some of them keyboard cowboys. They're a little more outspoken because of that. But it really puts down what's going on up here, I guess. But I went in to my doctor, or however, I don't even know what the process is, but I'm assuming a doctor has to be involved of some sort, and then you have to prove that to the MTO to get your permit. So obviously the law is recognizing that I'm able to have this. So why are you yelling at me? I don't know. Go write your local, Bite your tongue, David. Carrying on though, I get sharky looks all the time because I don't look disabled. Being on dialysis, I get really weak and can't walk a long distance. I make a point of wearing a tank top now so certain people can see the catheter in my chest. Not all illnesses or disabilities are visible. Please, just be kind and think twice. I fully understand this person's frustration. They have absolutely nothing to be sorry about. There it is, kind of at the end of the day, Kevin, I think, is that just be kind. Just stop for a minute and think, like, you don't know what's going on in that person's life any more than they know what's going on in your life. I don't know, have you ever had a bad day? Right? But at the end of the day, we got to do our best to be kind. Driving my neighbor home, driving my neighbor, Mom, she has a cane and can't move that well. And because I was driving, I got dirty looks. It shouldn't matter if it's the driver or the person getting a ride. Not everything is visible. The stigma that you have to have something they can see is, So, I mean, I don't, there's a bit of a point there too, is somebody who's not the owner of the permit, but is driving somebody who is, I think that's okay, if that's legit. I mean, as long as you're not like passing your permit around to whoever who really doesn't need it and go, well, here, just take my permit. And maybe that's where some of this comes from. Maybe some people feel there's, cheating going on. But again, it comes to the underlying, you don't really know what's happening with me. So what are we looking at here? You don't owe her anything. In the first place, it was none of her business. In the second place, it's not her job to police who parks where. My 89-year-old mother with a heart condition had the same encounter with a person not too long ago. Makes me sad and mad for her as well. I'm an above knee amputee. I walk very well with my prosthetic. If I wear jeans, it can be hard to tell. Man, oh man, the people over the years that have got, like, this goes on and on, right, Kevin? Like you said, over 1,400.
That's what's so alarming to me, is the number of people that said, yeah, you know what? That happens to me all the time.
Yeah, this isn't just a sort of once in a while thing. This is happening with multiple individuals.
It makes me disappointed in Niagarans.
Yeah.
That all these people with disabilities are coming forward and saying, I'm prejudiced against.
Yeah.
People berate me in parking lots for parking. I mean, here we can go right to the video here that Emily had sent. So Emily, who we're hoping would join us today, but obviously she got pulled away. And this is a video that she took in 2017 outside of Fresco here in Niagara. And she says that that this stuff happens to her all the time.
Let's take a closer look here.
Yeah, you don't look handicapped. Excuse me, would you like to see underneath my clothes? Would you like to see everything underneath me? Where's your handicap? Take a look at it. Go ahead, take a look. Go ahead. Go ahead, lady, go ahead. That's right. Go ahead.
And obviously, you know, Emily's upset there, and I think that probably comes from, you know, dealing with this obviously more than once.
Excuse me, would you like to see underneath my clothes? Would you like to see everything underneath me? Where's your handicap? Take a look at it. Go ahead, take a look. Go ahead. Go ahead, lady, go ahead. That's right. Go ahead.
I mean, it's disgusting that this happens, Lee. It truly is. And I mean, if people don't know, if anybody's ever wondering what the definition of a Karen is, bingo. I mean, you know, some people wonder, what's a Karen?
Yeah,
well,
right. I'm just caring about you.
That's a Karen right there. So, I mean, Lee...
David,
I don't want to be League of the Point, but I mean, it just...
don't make me come over there. I get it.
Yeah, here, I mean, Stacy says she adds to it.
Yeah, all the time. I usually ignore them, but there are only so many times a person with invisible disabilities can turn the other cheek, and we end up lashing out. I hope you have a better day. Thanks for sharing your comments, Stacy. So where do we go next with dealing with this? I guess how do we deal with this is another underlying question is, you know, because honestly, like if someone's yelling at me in a parking lot for any reason, what am I supposed to do? Do I take the video? Do I yell back at them, or am I supposed to just smile and go, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about, and keep going forward? It doesn't change that obviously people are having some kind of issue with it for whatever reason. Do we find the reason that, like I said earlier, is why are people doing this? You know, it's unkind. It's really none of your business. What is my medical situation? I don't have to explain it to you. So again, where does this come from?
It's all, I mean, to me, the number of people just was so impactful. And here you have Carol. This happened to me a few years back.
Yeah.
You have Brenda. This happens to many of us.
Yeah.
Sarah.
It's like people expect you to hobble or limp with constantly, I
mean, here's Whitney. I'm newly disabled. Spent the last 2 years learning to walk, bathe, and dress myself, eat everything.
Yeah.
And then you have to deal with this?
Most days are a struggle at some point or another. And now, like you said, I'm already struggling with my life in this aspect of it. And now I go out and I get ridiculed or well, this is verbal abuse, right?
I mean, Jennifer says that she displays this in her car. I mean, why do we have to do this, people?
I have the permit. The permit is supposed to speak for that right there alone, right? You know, I have the right to park here. You've stopped to question me as to why I have parked in this handicap spot. I would suggest, I mean, I get the idea behind it, but I suggest that people probably aren't reading that sign.
I mean, Patricia shares her story.
Yeah, exactly. I had someone follow me into Shoppers Drug Mart asking me why I have a permit. I have a lung disease. Sir, you can't tell from the outside, but I have 50% capacity of my lungs.
Michelle
so I wonder, but I wonder when just scroll back to that one just for a little second there so we can see. Yeah, Patricia. I wonder how that person, when she did actually explain, said, you know, I have 50% lung capacity. How did that person react? Did they just go, oh well, or did like is this a kind of person, just a type of person that's doing this, or again, like I say, is it coming from? Do you think I'm abusing the system? I think maybe that's where people think they're coming from. Well, you're abusing the system. No, this is actually legit. I only have 50% lung capacity.
What
right?
do you care?
Right.
You're not parking there.
I'm not. You know, here's a good point, because I take for granted every day. Obviously, we don't mean to take for granted, but I take for granted every day that I can walk, I can drive my motorcycle, I can do all these things. And so I'm very grateful for the life that I have. I can't imagine having those struggles. And then on top of it, like this is, this could have mental health issues affected to people on top of that. And we know mental health is everywhere, every day in our lives, all of us. And if it's not us directly, it's somebody we know. 1 in 5 actually is the number. And this is adding to all of that. And I don't see any excuse for it. I mean, you can say, well, yeah, but I'm having a bad day. A bad day doesn't excuse behavior. We all have a bad day, but that doesn't make it any better it doesn't make it any righter for me to question you on your personal medical history or anything else. I struggle with what people may interpret having 2 autoimmune disorders, inflammatory bowel disease with a total, I don't even need to continue reading through this. And as Kevin mentioned, there's obviously a lot of people being affected by this. What are your thoughts on this? Leave it in the comment. We've still got a few moments left before we end up the show if you want to join us online. And even if you're watching the replay of this here today, feel free to leave your comments. Kevin is very, very diligent for checking the comments, as you can see there. Well, before we do start to wrap things up, I want to say thanks to Fiddler's Poorhouse for allowing us to have Niagara 411 live with Lee Sterry here today. And we're also partly fueled by Gale's Gas Bar and Performance Heating and Air, along with Verge Insurance Brokers. And of course, as I mentioned, Kevin Jack from WeeStream producing today's show. So, lots of feel-good stories in there. I think we've kind of beat this one up a little bit here, but it's too bad that this is happening. And as you could see, like Kevin was obviously very upset by this, as I think most people would be upset by this happening out there. So be mindful, folks. All I can say is let's remember to be nice, be kind. That's probably the best thing you can do every day of your life. I know things, we all have bad days, etc., but it's not an excuse for making someone else's day miserable. So be kind to each other. And for all of you who are watching, if you have been affected by this, or even if you are, just keep in mind, you matter. We all matter in some way, shape, or form. So remember that you matter. Going back to Lou Ferrigno there for just a moment, I was thinking of another story there that just kind of reminded me again that that's a positive feel-good story for somebody like Lou to take time out of his, I'm sure, very busy schedule and make somebody else's day a whole lot better. There's an example of kindness. It really just takes time. Time is so valuable, but it can be so impactful on other people. The time that you make for someone, if they ask you further time, I mean, unless you're running late for the train or the plane, slow down, people. Where do you got to be? If you're already late for work, you're already late for work. Driving any faster, it won't make you unlate by any reasons. But the message there is we all have different situations in our life, but we are all capable of being nice to each other. There's no excuse for it at all. So there's my message for the day, I guess, Kevin.
David, sentiments hopefully are heard across Niagara. I have to thank you for coming down to host Niagara 411 Live today. You did an absolutely tremendous job.
I hope Lee's happy.
No, I want to say a big hello to everybody in Sarnia that probably tuned in today.
Yeah.
I know you guys love David there, and we love him here as well. And David, this is quintessentially and historically how we wrap up the show. We're going to be featuring music from John Lavoie here in just a second, but I'll let you do what you got to do. But thanks again. Thanks for us. Thanks to hi to Nick's mom. Thanks for Nick and everybody with Niagara 411 and David. You did a great job.
Thanks very much. Well, as Kevin said, John Lavoie, high hopes coming here in just a moment, and I want to just reiterate back to Kevin at WeeStream and Lee Sterry and everyone involved with Niagara 411 Live for allowing me to be here today. This is part of what I do down Sarnia way, so shameless plug, the show with David Burrows, and if my friends down in Sarnia are watching, thank you very much. And I will end the same way I end another show. That's all the time I got for you this week, everybody. Have a great week and an even better weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
When I have in this moment, I hope it lightens your mind. You and I always together, making laughter over the wine. All of this madness will bring us down. There's still time to turn this around. Our glass not half empty, we'll fill it up right now. This time is all that we have, and time is right now. And these high hopes, I bring them wherever I go. In these high lows, with you barely I know, barely I know. Time is right now, and these high hopes, I bring them wherever I go. And these high lows, with you barely I know, barely I know. Time is right now. This cup is not half empty. We're filling it up right now. This time is all we have, and time is right now.